Imagine if Jesus was sitting right in front of you right now, not on a throne, not surrounded by lightning or fire, but on the dusty ground, looking you in the eyes, and instead of giving a lecture, he tells you a story. A simple story. A story about seeds, fields, lamps, coins, and lost sheep. And yet somehow, that story reaches deeper than anything you've ever heard. My friend, that's the power of the parables of Jesus. And today, you're about to experience all of them in one unforgettable journey. So don't blink. Don't scroll away. Because what you're about to hear might quietly change the way you see God and yourself. Jesus didn't speak in parables to confuse people. He spoke in parables to invite them. He took the invisible kingdom of heaven and wrapped it in everyday life. Farming, fishing, weddings, family conflicts, money, work, and waiting. He spoke to crowds, but every story felt personal. And the first thing he wanted people to understand was this: the kingdom of God is closer than you think. He began with a farmer walking into a field, scattering seed. Some fell on the hard path, some on rocky ground, some among thorns, and some on good soil. And as people listened, they realized he wasn't talking about farming at all. He was talking about hearts. About how the same truth can be heard in different ways, producing different results. Some hear and forget. Some get excited but give up. Some get distracted. And some let the word take root and transform their lives. Jesus was gently asking, "What kind of soil are you?" Then he spoke of a lamp. A simple lamp. You don't light it to hide it. You place it high so it fills the room with light. In the same way, the truth God places inside you is not meant to stay hidden. Faith isn't private darkness, it's living light. And with that, Jesus was telling his followers that their lives were meant to shine quietly, faithfully, and boldly in a dark world. He told them the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, the smallest of all seeds, yet it grows into something so large that birds find shelter in its branches. In other words, don't underestimate small beginnings. God often starts with what looks insignificant. A whisper. A prayer. A decision. And before you realize it, that tiny seed becomes something that blesses many lives. Then Jesus spoke of yeast mixed into dough. You don't see it working, but slowly, silently, it changes everything. That's how God's kingdom works inside a human heart. Not always loudly. Not always instantly. But faithfully. Invisibly. Powerfully. And just like that, Jesus had taken ordinary life and revealed heaven hiding inside it. The crowd listened, nodded, wondered, and some walked away changed without even realizing why. Then Jesus went deeper. He told stories that didn't just explain the kingdom, they revealed the heart of God. He spoke of a shepherd who leaves 99 sheep to search for the one that's lost. And when he finds it, he doesn't punish it. He lifts it onto his shoulders and rejoices. That's not logic. That's love. Jesus was telling everyone listening, you are never just a number to God. Heaven celebrates when one lost soul comes home. He followed that with a woman who loses a single coin. She searches her house, sweeping every corner until she finds it. And when she does, she calls her friends to celebrate. To some, it sounded like an overreaction. But Jesus was saying, this is how much you matter to God. Even when you feel small. Even when you feel misplaced. You are worth searching for. Then came the story that still echoes through time, the parable of the prodigal son. A son who demands his inheritance, walks away from his father, wastes everything, and ends up broken and hungry. And when he finally returns, rehearsing an apology, expecting rejection, the father runs to him. He doesn't wait. He doesn't scold. He embraces him, restores him, celebrates him. This wasn't just a story about a lost son. It was a revelation of a loving Father, a God whose mercy outruns our shame. But Jesus didn't stop there. He also spoke of the older brother, the one who stayed, the one who obeyed, yet couldn't understand grace. And suddenly, listeners realized that being close to God physically doesn't always mean being close in heart. Jesus was challenging both rebels and the religious, inviting everyone into a deeper understanding of love. He told of a good Samaritan who stops to help a wounded stranger while religious leaders pass by. And with that story, Jesus redefined what it means to love your neighbor. Love isn't about labels, status, or convenience. Love is action. Love crosses roads. Love gets messy. Then he spoke of servants entrusted with talents. Some invested what they were given. One buried it in fear. And Jesus made it clear, faith isn't about playing safe. It's about trusting God with what you've been given and using it faithfully. Through every parable, a pattern emerged. God values humility. God honors faithfulness. God delights in mercy. And God invites every listener to respond, not just admire. As Jesus continued, his stories became urgent. He spoke of bridesmaids waiting for the groom, some prepared, some careless. He spoke of a rich man who stored up wealth but ignored eternity. He spoke of vineyards, banquets, and invitations refused. And slowly, the listeners realized something profound. These stories weren't just about then. They were about now. About choices. About readiness. About hearts. Every parable carried a quiet question. Will you listen? Will you respond? Will you let this truth change you? Jesus never forced understanding. He invited reflection. He didn't shout the kingdom of heaven. He whispered it through stories, knowing that those who were hungry would lean in closer. And today, thousands of years later, those same parables still speak. They speak to tired hearts, to broken people, to seekers, to believers who need reminding. They tell us that God's kingdom is not far away. It's near. It's personal. It's alive. So as this story ends, the invitation remains. Be good soil. Let the seed grow. Shine your light. Love boldly. Forgive freely. Trust deeply. And remember this, the God who spoke through parables is still speaking today, still searching for the lost, still welcoming the broken, still building his kingdom one heart at a time. If these stories moved you, don't just watch them. Live them. Because the greatest parable is the life you choose to live after hearing them. And that, my friend, is the story Jesus is still telling. Hope sparkles.